Welcome to this episode, Dr. James Beckett Sports Card Insights. This is the closest thing we're going to have to a Christmas episode. As you know, Christmas Eve is tomorrow. Christmas Day is the next day. There will not be episodes on those days. Spend those days with your loved ones, with your family. And I will obviously be doing that as well. But I wanted to get back to some Christmas memories. First, thanks to our sponsors, Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication, comc.com, Burbank Sports Cards, Mike's Stadium Sports Cards, Heritage Auctions, Huggins & Scott Auctions, Topps, Panini, Upper Deck. Excellent sponsors. Wish them Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays as well. Let's see. Thinking about Christmas in the context of Sports Card Insights, a few things come to mind. This does not count as a Christmas present to my wife, but she's been enjoying the gift of me doing a daily insight about the hobby, and it's been, I think she's enjoyed it, but let me assure y'all and her that is not her Christmas present, but it's a little like a stocking stuffer. And you could give the gift of this podcast, because after all, it's free. Sometimes gifts that are free are really good gifts. Growing up, I was the oldest of five, so we had a family of seven, my mom and my dad and my three sisters and my younger brother. I was the oldest. We moved a lot, as I think I've told you. It seemed like we moved every summer. I'm sure we didn't, but we moved many summers. But by Christmas time, by December, we were getting into the new school or the new situation, the new neighborhood. And as I said, in many cases, that involved me connecting with local collectors, you know, just kids at school, the flipping, the things I've talked about. So there's some getting comfortable with all that, but mostly Christmases for us were the seven of us. And, so we had a close family. In fact, I have one of my sisters was born on Christmas Day. Talk about a great Christmas present. So happy birthday to my sister, Allison, who lives out in the West Coast now. One notable Christmas, I was going to say I never got any sports memorabilia or sports cards for Christmas, but that's true in the sense of nobody bought me anything that I can ever recall, but it's not true that I didn't get a really good Christmas present. As I said, in 1959, we were actually celebrating Christmas with my father's parents, my grandparents, and lo and behold, my grandmother went up to the attic in the home they'd lived in for probably since my dad had gone to college. So they'd been, I think, in that same house for a while. She goes up in the attic and brings down a shoebox full of Goudies and play balls and a few other miscellaneous things that were just cards, which was just a delight to me at that point. So it wasn't wrapped up. It was just, they just brought the box down and said, here. They didn't say, they maybe said Merry Christmas, but what a great Christmas memory. The problem is for some of you, if you're the collector in your family, your family may not know how to deal with that. They certainly would probably know what sport you love. But if you wanted them to get you something for Christmas that was in the sports cards or sports memorabilia, it's pretty hard to well, let's just say you could either not be surprised by telling them exactly what, where, how, and how much something is you want that you really, really want, or you could let them guess. In my family growing up, there were gift certificates were not an option. It had to be a personal gift, and in some cases, a homemade gift would be even better. So if you have a price point in mind and you want to get the collector in your family a card or a box or a blaster, a set, whatever that might be, I wouldn't advise doing it all by yourself in a vacuum. If there are, I found out after being married for a while that your loved ones do drop hints during the year, and especially as it gets into November, December. So perhaps you could drop some hints, but many of the hints that were dropped my way by my loved ones were apparently too subtle for me. So if you're the collector and you drop some hints about what you'd like for Christmas and it involves sports cards or sports memorabilia, I encourage you not to be so subtle and to be more detailed and explicit about what what you want. The concept in the old days was collectors had a want list. These are the cards I need to finish my set, or if I'm a kind of a super collector, here's what I need. The problem with that is, as Rich and I have discussed on another episode, is that it's hard to have a want list when you have a lot of the basic stuff and you don't always even know what you're missing. Think about Tanner Jones, who's this Jose Canseco super collector. He probably had everything, but if you could possibly find something that he didn't have, again, it would be tricky. So I'm not any particular super collector in the fullest sense, but there are people that know that I collect and appreciate Roberto Clemente. So I have gotten some Clemente stuff. It's not been at Christmas, but I've gotten some Clemente stuff that have been passed through as sort of like a present. Whether you're the collector and you like modern versus vintage, if it's vintage, your loved ones may not understand condition sensitivities and the minimum condition, the minimum grade that you would find acceptable or appreciate. Of course, if you're a modern card collector, then you do have a lot of options. They may be able to buy you into a break but my best advice, I think, is, as I've said, and when I was growing up and in the early days of the industry, it was very much quite a bit more of a solitary industry where you just collected and you'd occasionally get with other collectors, but there wasn't any of this group communal experience of participating in a break and having the camaraderie of working together. But that can be to your advantage if you're thinking about. Actually, this episode is going to be dropping on. It's December 23rd, so perhaps there's still time to go somewhere or get something. But my best advice is, since collecting is more of a group activity, if you want somebody to get something for you, if they know if you have some collecting close friends or a dealer relationship that is consistent and trustworthy, that's my best advice. That if someone wanted to buy you a gift and they knew where you normally shopped, whether it was a local card shop or some other dealer who had some awareness of what you were looking for, or a close or best collecting friend that you hung out with a lot, that knew what you were looking for and what you appreciated, that'd be a good way to go. I did get a lot of sports gifts as a kid, so I got some balls and bats and gloves and rackets and lots of sports, the outdoor aspects of being involved in the physical activity and recreational and competitive aspects of sports. That was always, those were always on my list and always fun things to get. But collecting, like I said, I think my family of origin, as well as my now family, it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain that you love collecting, and certain cards that one card could look better than another, but one card could be trash and the other one could be treasure. And if you're not an expert, you might not even know. There are cards that you wouldn't buy for a penny, but in that same box of a penny cards, there could be something that's worth $1 or $10, or, you buy a pack and, most of the cards in the pack are not exciting, but one card out of the pack, especially nowadays. If I were to tell my wife or my kids or my friends, hey, I'd like to get a Luka card, Luka Doncic for Christmas. Now, I'm not saying that because I don't want that. I wouldn't turn it down, but I don't specifically want that, because what would they do from that? Would they get a base card? Would they get a second year card? Would they get an autograph card or a memorabilia card? Again, the prices can go from sort of low to extremely high, and I wouldn't want them to feel bad. They wouldn't know what to do, and I really wouldn't encourage them in that way. If you've got questions or comments or great Christmas memories or other holiday memories, I'll actually, I love dealing with your questions and comments and feedback. So you can leave me a voice recording if you'd like, or you could shoot me an email at Dr. James Beckett at Sports Card Insights. Pardon me, Dr. James Beckett at gmail.com. There's also Beckett Insights at gmail.com, but I don't use that as much. When you tell your friends about this podcast, just again, it's available pretty much wherever podcasts are available, and they are, like I said, I also encourage, and I had a discussion with one of my sponsors that I actually encourage people to listen to this at 1 1/4 speed or 1.5. I can actually listen at double speed, but it's easier to cut through episodes. Let me end this on a note of some gifts and some presents that are free are really good. I have really enjoyed this year, and so one thing that's been a present is the aspect of doing this podcast, but more than that, it's tuned me in to how many other great podcasts there are in our industry. And I have really enjoyed engaging with obviously Eric Norton and Fat Packs, but there's too many of them to list. Most of them come out weekly or a little bit more than that. And I'm just really enjoying it. I really see that each podcast fills a different niche. There's tiny bits of overlap, obviously, because we all love this industry, but those overlaps don't get in the way of some great listening. So I hope you have a great Christmas or holiday, however you want to celebrate that, and that you get the gifts that you want. It's been said it's better to give than to receive, but it's certainly a lot of fun to receive. So again, thanks for listening. That's a gift to me. I will be back not tomorrow, not the next day, but the day after with another hopefully interesting episode for you. Again, thanks listeners. Be back in a few days. Enjoy the season.